Good evening. I'm Dan Jennings, and this is your Blue Wave report for May 21st, 2020, that could help prevent and then treat coronavirus infections. According to interviews and a study, researchers from the University of Lethbridge said that a study in April showed at least 13 cannabis plants high in CBD appeared to affect the ACE2 pathways that the virus uses to invade the body. The results, printed in the online journal Preprints, indicated hemp extracts high in CBD may help block proteins that provide a gateway for COVID-19 to enter host cells. One of the researchers, Olga Kovalchuk, told CTV, "The key thing is not that any cannabis you would pick up at the store will do the trick, with a study suggesting just a handful. 800 varieties of sativa seemed to help. All varieties were high in the anti-inflammatory CBD, but low in THC, the part that produces the cannabis high." Dateline, Corpus Christi, Texas. Thursday's shooting at a Naval Air Station in Corpus Christi, Texas, is terror-related, according to FBI officials. The suspect attempted to rush the security gate with a vehicle, a U.S. defense official familiar with the initial reports told CNN. Security then deployed a barrier to stop the vehicle, upon which the suspect exited the vehicle and opened fire. Naval security forces then returned fire. Thursday's shooting took place just after the FBI and Justice Department announced it had found a link between Al-Qaeda and a Saudi military trainee who killed 3 U.S. soldiers and wounded several others in a terror attack last year on a naval air station in Pensacola. Gee, I'm glad 45 got rid of Al-Qaeda. Dateline, Washington. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo pushed State Department officials to find a way to justify the emergency declaration that he had already decided to implement in order to fast-track the $8 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia last year. How many times I have to tell people, the Saudis are not our friends. They seem to have a game plan, and it had to be justified, said a State Department official who told CNN that they had communicated what happened to the State Department's Office of the Inspector General, who has now since been fired, during an interview late last year as part of the watchdog's investigation into Pompeo's move to fast-track the sale. According to the official, the attitude was very Trumpian. Pompeo's demand meant State Department officials had to reverse engineer the situation to provide the justification for a decision which had already been made in an aggressive and unconventional manner. Dateline, TSA. The Transportation Security Administration has issued new guidelines for airport security screening processes in a bid to reduce the risk of infection amid the ongoing novel corona outbreak. Additional measures are expected to be introduced at airports nationwide by mid-June. These regulations aim to reduce cross-contamination at airport security checkpoints by minimizing contact between passengers and TSA officers whenever it is possible without compromising security. Some of the ramped-up social distancing measures include increased distance between individuals as they enter the security checkpoint, visual floor markers to indicate appropriate spacing, and the staggered use of lanes where possible. No two airports are alike, so this could look a little different at each airport, so please check the TSA website for more details. Also today, there's been a thing going around about school reopening and CDC guidelines. I'm being told that is very vague, so please do not go by it. Dateline, retail closures. Could Kohl's be next? With reports of 90% off clearance on goods such as Under Armour, and the popular retailer planning on removing 8 brands from stores, including well-known names like Jennifer Lopez and Juicy Couture, one has to wonder, is Kohl's the next bankruptcy? The move comes after a tough quarter for the store where net sales fell 43.5%, according to CNBC. Like other clothing stores, Kohl's has experienced declined sales in recent months due to temporary store closures. Despite a 24% increase in online sales last quarter, their gross margins fell to 17.3% from 36.8% a year ago, and the stock has fallen more than 65% this year alone. I hope you didn't have that one in your 401k. Dateline, the greatest economy ever. About 2.4 million Americans filed initial unemployment benefits claims last week, according to the Labor Department. And as the economic crisis sparked by the coronavirus ruptures continually a growing number of industries. In just 9 weeks, 38.6 million people have sought jobless benefits that represent the nation's most reliable gauge of layoffs. The 14.7% jobless rate is the highest since the Great Depression. Boy, can you only imagine if we didn't have such a great economy? Dateline pause. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said Congress will likely need to pass more stimulus legislation as the nation struggles to recover from the coronavirus outbreak. I think there is a strong likelihood we will need another bill, he said Thursday at an online event held by the Hill newspaper. However, there seems to be no rush to help us, the people, as Mnuchin supports the pause, saying, we're going to step back for a few weeks and think very carefully if we need to spend more money and how we're going to do that. That's GOP speak for how are we going to give the 1% more of the 99%'s money. Dateline, thoughts and prayers. The suspect in a mall shooting in Arizona today told detectives he wanted to injure 10 people and hoped to gain respect after being bullied earlier in life. Armando Hernandez Jr., age 20, also told authorities he had scoped out the scene, went back to his car to retrieve his weapon, and loaded 3 rifle magazines to capacity. Hernandez admitted he was the shooter, and a black assault rifle was recovered at the scene, according to the police. 3 people were shot at the Westgate's Entertainment District, an outdoor mall, Wednesday night. One victim, a 19-year-old man, was in critical condition as of Thursday, while the other 2, a 16-year-old girl and a 30-year-old woman, sustained non-life-threatening injuries, all thankfully expected to survive. Thank you, NRA. Dateline, Georgia. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations has arrested the man who filmed the fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery on a felony murder charge. About time. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation arrested William Roddy Bryan Jr., age 50, on charges of felony murder and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. Dateline, Louisville, and this one's about damn time too. The FBI is now investigating the death of Breonna Taylor, who was killed by police during a no-knock raid at her home in Louisville, Kentucky. Taylor was at home with her boyfriend on March 13th when 3 plainclothes officers with the Louisville Metro Police Department arrived to execute a search warrant in a drug case. The couple thought their home was being broken into, according to a lawsuit from Taylor's family. Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, had a license to carry and kept firearms in the home. Walker also called 911 at the time of the raid, believing it was a break-in, and grabbed his gun in self-defense. Walker, who shot an officer in the leg, was arrested and charged with assault and attempted murder on a police officer. I guess, Dan, your ground laws only work in Florida? I don't know. Finally, this evening, we're going to start doing this every night, trying a good news of the day story to end the show. 10-year-old Chelsea Fair is the mastermind behind Chelsea's Charity, a nonprofit she started with her parents back in August 2019 as a means of donating art kits to at-risk children. According to her mother, she was 7 when she began begging her and her father to start a charity. Good for her. That is a great thing for her. Her mother, Candace Fair, told CNN she was so persistent. Every couple months she would ask, "Are we starting Chelsea's Charity yet?" I can just picture her doing that. It would be so cute. When she was turning 10, she asked us again, and this time we decided to go for it. As a means of inaugurating the charity on her birthday, Chelsea asked people to give her art supplies instead of birthday gifts. After the initial batch of donations helped to supply several dozen art kits for children in need, Chelsea has since continued her efforts by collecting supplies for the kids through her charity's Amazon wish list. So, hey, if you have time, you have the money, please go out and donate to this little girl. The tenacious 6th grader from Danbury, Connecticut, has since donated hundreds upon hundreds of art kits to homeless shelters, women's shelters, and schools impacted by gun violence in 12 states. Each of the kits are filled with crayons, gel pens, coloring books, paper, and colored pencils. And even though the COVID-19 shutdowns have prevented the youngster from handing out the kits in person, she still managed to give away 1,500 art kits since the quarantine began. Kudos to you, young lady. You are one of the people that will change this world. Thank you to the following for information used in tonight's report: the New York Post, CNN, Bloomberg, The Today Show, The Washington Post, ABC News, and PBS NewsHour. For the Blue Wave Report, I'm Dan Jennings, reminding you, as always, don't just comment, act. Good night, everybody.